Once upon a time, in a remote African village surrounded by tall grasslands and dense forests, stood a grand baobab tree. The villagers of Tombara regarded this ancient tree with reverence and awe. They believed it held special powers, a symbol of strength, hope, and the connection to their ancestors. But no one ever expected it would play a part in a miraculous event that would change their lives forever. Tombara had faced an unrelenting drought for years. Water sources dried up, crops failed, and sickness began to spread, weakening the young and old alike. People grew weary, their spirits broken. One by one, they lost hope, and the village was shrouded in despair. One scorching afternoon, a stranger arrived in Tombara. He was dressed in simple clothes and carried only a humble walking stick. The villagers noticed him almost immediately. His presence was calm yet powerful, and he seemed undeterred by the heat and dust. "Who are you, stranger?" a child called out. "My name is Kofi," he replied, with a gentle smile. "I have come with a message of hope." The elders were intrigued, yet skeptical. They had seen many travelers and preachers come and go, promising salvation but delivering nothing. "What can you offer us that we do not already know?" asked Elder Bantu, his voice heavy with doubt. Kofi looked around at the tired faces of the villagers. "I bring you no riches, no promises of rain. But I bring you the message of faith. God listens to those who believe, even when the world is silent." Kofi gathered the villagers around the baobab tree that night. The tree, large and imposing, stood against the darkening sky, its thick branches stretching out like arms of an ancient guardian. "Gather here every evening," he told them. "We will pray together, not just for rain, but for peace, health, and unity. We will pray, not out of desperation, but out of faith that God hears us." The villagers exchanged glances, some hopeful, others doubtful. Many had lost family members to the drought, while others were themselves weakened by illness. Praying seemed like a futile gesture to them. Nonetheless, they gathered by the tree as instructed, whispering heartfelt prayers into the night air. Kofi led them, his voice calm and steady, encouraging them to let go of their doubts and place their trust in God. Days turned into weeks, and each night they returned to the tree. Kofi reminded them that true faith didn't demand immediate results, it only required steadfast belief. But the drought persisted, and many started to lose hope once again. One night, as Kofi led the villagers in prayer, they heard a distant rumble. It was faint, almost like a whisper, but unmistakable. "Is it thunder?" a child asked, eyes wide with excitement. Kofi nodded, smiling. "Faith moves mountains, and perhaps it calls rain as well." The skies, however, remained clear, and the thunder eventually faded away. The villagers left that night, disappointed, but something within them had changed. For the first time in years, they felt a spark of hope. The next morning, something remarkable happened. A small stream of water began to trickle from the roots of the baobab tree. It wasn't much, just a gentle flow, but it was enough to bring fresh drinking water to the villagers. People gathered around the tree, filling their jugs, their faces shining with joy and gratitude. "It's a miracle," someone shouted. The villagers cheered, some weeping, others laughing, their spirits renewed. Kofi reminded them to thank God for this gift, but also to continue praying, not only for rain but for unity, health, and resilience. As the villagers continued gathering at the tree, more miracles began to unfold. Elder Bantu, who had been sick with fever for weeks, began to recover. Little Sod, the girl who had been unable to walk since birth, took her first steps near the tree one evening. News of the healing spread, then people from neighboring villages traveled to Tombara to pray and drink from the water that now trickled from the tree's roots. The baobab tree had become a symbol of God's power and mercy, and people flocked to it, bringing offerings of food and gifts, humbled by the miracles they had witnessed. With each day, the strength of the community grew. Those who had once quarreled over resources now shared openly. They took turns collecting water, ensuring that the weakest among them were always served first. As their faith deepened, their bond with one another strengthened. Months passed, and finally, the rains returned. Showers poured over Tombara, filling their wells and reviving their crops. The villagers danced and celebrated, knowing their prayers had been answered. But Kofi, the stranger, reminded them of something even more important than the rain. The real miracle, he said, is not the water that flows from the tree or the rain that now blesses your land. It is the unity, love, and faith you now share. God blessed you because you believed and because you stood together. The villagers knew he was right. In their journey, they had learned to care for one another, to share, and to place their faith in God's timing. They had learned that miracles often begin with a single act of faith, and true blessings come when a community stands united. The story of Tombara teaches us a valuable lesson in today's world. In times of hardship, it's easy to lose faith and turn against one another. But sometimes, the greatest miracles come not in the form of sudden solutions, but in the strength we find when we unite, support each other, and place our trust in God. As the villagers learned, faith is not always about immediate answers, it's about enduring together and believing that God will provide. And often, the real blessings are the friendships, unity, and resilience we build along the way. The miracle at the Baobab Tree reminds us to hold on to hope, value our communities, and to trust in God's plans, even when they are not immediately clear. For in the strength of unity and unwavering faith, even the driest lands can find life again.